Hey everybody, my name is Brendan Perry. Um, I'm a student at Jacksonville State University in the Elementary Education Master's Program. This presentation is for 21st Century Teaching and Learning. Just a funny note, this is actually my second attempt. I spoke for like 25 minutes, didn't realize I only had a 10-minute max, so I'm going to move a lot quicker this time. So we're covering chapters 1 through 5 of the Quality Questioning textbook. And so, what is quality questioning? Well, it's a process that focuses on attention, stimulates thinking, and results in real learning. Why is it important for teachers to ask questions in the classroom? Number one, to find out if students know the right answer, to encourage students to think, to find out if students are paying attention, and to assess whether students understand and to help those who don't. We're in this mode now where teaching and classrooms are taking it to the next level in every area. So even our questioning, we're moving from the traditional classroom questioning where teachers give information, they teach, and then they just expect students to regurgitate the information that was told to them, where we're moving to quality questions where we're asking them how, why, give me more detail, justify, provide evidence. We want students to be critical thinkers, and our questioning helps us do that. So here is a figure 1-3 from chapter 1 that goes into detail and describes what it might look like in a traditional classroom and what it might look like with quality questioning. So this is the process that as teachers we should be moving through, beginning with prepare the question. We have to prepare our questions and our assessments beforehand. Later on in this, you'll see where on my mind map where I put the quote, quality questions seldom come just off the cuff. They're not at a moment's notice. So you have to prepare ahead of time to know what you expect from the students and know what you want them to be able to answer. We're going to present the question. We're going to prompt thinking, scaffolding. We're going to process their response. What did they miss? What did they know? What did they not know? And then we're going to move back to that same point of preparing, correcting mistakes. But what I love about this framework is that it always goes back to partner with students. So on in chapter 2, we have different levels of knowledge, different dimensions. We have factual knowledge, conceptual knowledge, procedural knowledge, and metacognitive knowledge. Each one of these stepping a little bit deeper in content, stepping a little bit deeper in how it makes our mind work and move, and obviously moving from factual knowledge to where you're just regurgitating facts into metacognitive knowledge where you understand the why, how, who, when, where. You understand how you can use it, and when you use it, how to be better when you use it. So this Webb's depth of knowledge is a Dlk framework which many classrooms operate in. So the first level of the house is to recall, the second is to use, and the third is to create. We want to get students to that third level to create, or to be able to generate, to plan, to produce, to construct, to design with whatever we're teaching. And there's that quote, quality questions are seldom asked by chance. Sometimes my best questions when I'm thinking through a lesson may come when I'm brushing my teeth in the morning before the lesson, maybe when I'm in the shower, maybe when students are doing something else and I'm preparing for the lesson. It all comes to me there. This is my Chapter 2 discussion board answer. And then Chapter 3, culture in the classroom. It is so important. We're going to go quickly through this. To establish positive relationships to affect the classroom culture. Have a lack of a right answer orientation. So often in that traditional classroom mode, we are looking for a right answer. But that's not always the case now. We just want students to be able to provide a clear, concise answer, right or wrong, and to understand what they know and what they do not know so that we can help them. It's also important to have equitable participation in your classroom, because students often feel like, especially strugglers, that only gifted students, only the quote-unquote smart kids get to answer questions because they always want to answer 100% of the questions 100% of the time. All right, so it's important to provide scaffolding for students, and it's important to think about how and where and why you're presenting the question, because I thought of this scenario, and that's why I put this sticky note here, to think of a time when you were being shown or taught something you were unfamiliar with. For me, that might be, I'm not a car guy, so when something goes wrong with my vehicle or my wife's car, and I'm having to speak to another man about it or a mechanic, I need them to slow down and to be very loving with how they share that information with me, just because I am not a car person, so it's like foreign language to me, which is how our students feel about our content sometimes. It's important to stop and think. We have to be very generous with our wait times as students evaluate what you've said and how they're going to respond. This model here I absolutely love, because it's such a perfect representation of how students, their position and place in the classroom, and our place as educators. First off, the student being the pitcher, the batter, and you as the teacher being the pitcher. You throw the ball being the question, they knock it out of the park, they get to move on to the next base. But as they move through those bases, just like a baseball game, you're constantly evaluating them with more questions as well. Right here is my chapter 3 response to the question on the discussion board. Now moving on to chapter 4, and I've got a little less than 3 minutes to do it. I love this in the book where it talks about a no opt-out policy, which means that students can't say, I don't feel like it, or I don't want to, or next, or skip, whatever they may say in the classroom, because you've got to evaluate when they say that, or when they say, I don't know. Are they saying that for laziness, embarrassment, distraction? Were they distracted while you were teaching? Carelessness? Or do they just really not know what's going on? And so it's up to you as the teacher to evaluate that. Wait time is crucial. This fact is that in most classrooms, teachers wait 0 seconds or less before giving the answer. So I know as a teacher, it is so difficult to be able to get in everything that you need to say and to give a reasonable wait time, because the day is just constantly scheduled out and pressed to move on to the next thing. And so you've got to be a good manager of your time so that you can provide good wait time for your students. So when you provide good wait time, students are more responsible. Their responses are more often longer, more correct, more complete. They tend to answer "I don't know" less often, and students give evidence for their ideas and conclusions, which means that they are digging deeper into what you taught. This figure from chapter 4, I absolutely love, because I think it's a perfect model and an anchor chart for students to know what to do when my teacher asks a question, what to do during my wait time, and what to do if someone else is answering, so that it builds that positive relationship in the classroom. It's also important for teachers to be able to give question stems to their students, especially maybe after one has answered one off base. You can say, I like your idea, but, or I'd like to build on your idea. Those things are very good in the classroom. That way students don't feel embarrassed or ashamed for their answer. There's my chapter 4 discussion post answer. And number 5, feedback. Feedback is crucial to the learning process. It has to be interactive and reciprocal, which means that you're providing feedback to the students, and students are providing feedback to you about why they didn't understand. It's informative, so you're giving them clear answers as to what went wrong. It's timely. If you do an assignment in October, it's not appropriate late November to get feedback. It's ineffective. And then it has to be actionable. You have to have a plan of action for where to move on from here, and what you're going to do to help that student. Praise was the last portion that we have to be very careful of who we praise, why we praise, and to hand that out very modestly. Feedback can shut down discussion, especially if you're harsh on a student or you didn't analyze the best way to tell them that feedback. It can totally shut down their world. So right there at the very bottom is my chapter 5 response. This is Brendan Perry. Thank you for listening.